Well, good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, December 3rd. It's 9:02 a.m. 9:03 a.m. now. I'm sorry. I'm a minute late. I had to run into the kitchen and turn off a pot of boiling water, seasoned boiling water, that I'm using to cook some spaghetti, which I'm going to cook after this, after today's show, as they say in the business. Yeah, December 3. Ouch, it's Tuesday. This is a simulcast, meaning that I'm broadcasting live on 3 social networks simultaneously. Not 2, but 3. Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Twitter Live, now known as X. And he has a kid named X, and he got SpaceX. You got Twitter, which is now X. Elon has a fetish with the letter X. That's okay. He's entitled to some abnormalities because he's exceptional in many other ways. If you've ever taken a tour of a Tesla factory, like the new one in Austin, Texas, that's a sight to behold. I mean, it's hard to believe. There we go. Let's get that turned down just a tiny bit. Yeah, it was one notch up on the Richter scale. Hey, I got something interesting to show. Let's see. How do I do this? We're going to go right here. Look at the interior of this cabin. Now, this is a prototype, and as Elon Musk says, prototypes are easy to make. To have that in a factory settings where you're going to make a car every 30 seconds, an entire car, which is what he's rolling, well, let's say 45 seconds. Elon says that in his factories around the world, that Model Ys are coming off the factory line, or Model anything, not counting Cybertruck, but Model X, Model S, Model 3, and Model Y. They're coming off the factory lines at the rate of about 1 every 45 seconds. Some factories are running even faster than that. But can you imagine a completely new, total car coming off the factory line every 45 seconds? Which to me is like, so they have a cycle of people that do nothing but, take the cars off the factory line and park them in the parking lot. They got serial numbers on them. The parking lots are coded so that when Jimmy's car is on the lot, it's known to be put on the transport vehicle truck, aka truck, and sent to Boca Raton, Florida. Yeah, because these cars are going all over the place, because people order them online, which I did. I'm not doing it now. I'm just saying. We have one. One's enough right now. Yeah, we share one car. If I need the car, I take Marilyn to work, and then I use the car for whatever purpose. And then At 5 o'clock, I pick her up from the bank. Yeah, not a bad little arrangement. Yeah. But this is the interior look, looking sideways into the new Jaguar named 00. Yeah, Jaguar has finally unveiled the car at the center of its viral campaign. An electric four-door GT concept car named Type 00. The car, shown in bright pink and sky blue during the Miami Design Week, isn't just a car. It's the centerpiece of a controversial effort by Jaguar to rebrand the 89-year-old automaker as it enters the EV age. And the electric vehicle age is definitely upon the car industry. I agree that you get negative kickback if you tell people that they're required to buy or mandated to buy an EV. I can tell you, I'm in year 4 of driving a Tesla EV, and the first thing comes to mind is, where do you get a fill up? Well, if you live in a house, a single family or a duplex, or something with a garage that you have control over, where you can add, or you have access to your dryer. If you have a dryer outlet, you're ready for level 2 charging, because most dryer outlets are set for 32 amp service. Excuse me. The best thing is to have 48 amp service with a Type 1450 plug. We have a 1450 plug and outlet that I lucked into. That's a story. And it's 32 amp service. I don't have the guts to tell the building that I live in. I'm in a multifamily parking garage. I'm on the 8th floor, right above Chops, and I have one parking space assigned to our apartment number. And they have the numbers, and they have the but I met a gentleman by Dr. Brian. He's a doctor, medical doctor, who runs a concierge service, one of the first concierge services ever put together. So it's apparently very successful. Concierge service means you pay an annual fee and you get instant access to doctors. So if you've got a problem, you call a special number that they give you, and you hook right into a doctor. And he'll ride right behind the ambulance or ride in the ambulance with you, depending on what your malady is. Anyway, so Dr. Brian he's driving a Model S like Sam. Beautiful car. Then he got a new Model S. Beautiful, even more beautiful car. What he did is he went to the building owners, managers, and said, look, I want, a 230 volt outlet on this column right next to my car for my exclusive use to charge my car and I'll pay your electrician to run the wire and all that kind of stuff. So the buildings said, okay. So they wired up to the outlet, and currently they're not actually charging a fee for that. The doctor paid $2,000 to reimburse the building for the outlet, the electrician's work to run a conduit out and come down the column and have a NEMA 1450 outlet. And a sign below says, if you use this outlet, you're committing a crime, which is true. So govern yourself accordingly, so to speak. And so the good doctor plugs in whenever he needs, a charge up. And building manager said, "Nah, don't worry about it. We got so many watts in this building. We'll have a few more watts." A nice attitude. Anyway, so the good doctor decided he's going to drive a Genesis SUV, crossover kind of SUV, if I noticed it correctly. So he turned in his Model S, like Sam, which was like a year and a half old. He had a Model S and turned it in, got a brand new Model S. Year and a half later, he exchanges it for a Genesis. Somehow or other, he had a ride with a friend of his, and he loved the Genesis, and he got one for his very own. And he loves it. He's real proud of it and all this kind of stuff. I said, how nice. Because I noticed this Genesis in his parking place. Because every time I go to my parking place, I ride by his parking place. Yeah. So I said, well, Dr. Brian, how about if we swap parking places? Since you don't need electricity anymore, I'll give you my spot, and you give me your spot. And that way I can, because you don't need a plug, and I am hungry for a plug. And he said, fine. So I showed him where the space was. He looked at it, and he said, I like it. I said, good. So we'll do that, off the books. We'll just swap spots. And until someone, starts to squeal or something or other, we'll just leave things that way. And I said, yeah, sounds good to me. So if our lease requires, naming the parking spot number, I guess then we'll officially swap the spot numbers so we don't get parking tickets because our license plate doesn't match, what's supposed to be in that parking place if they ever decide to do such an audit. He said, yeah, fine. He said, let's just keep it, unofficial until we have to make it official. Why stress out of something? So, anyway, I said, when it comes to that time, we'll think about it again, and we'll come up with a solution that is mutually acceptable. So there we go. So now I have Dr. Brian's charging spot. And so, I think we've filled up 3 or 4 times so far. No harm, no foul. No one seems to be caring about it, thank God. So we're saving about $170 a month in juice. The juice, is coming out at 14.5 cents a kilowatt, and X number of kilowatts a month. My car, the Tesla cars have a I'll show you. You can see it. Watch it if you watch with me. Now there's our car. You can see on the top says 100 let's go full screen on that. Producers, there you go. This broadcast is managed by 3 people, me, myself, and I. So me, myself, and I talk to each other often. And there we are, full screen. In living color. We actually don't have a red one. I painted it red with somehow. I can't remember how I did it, actually. If I think about it a few minutes, I'll probably come up with an answer. But, there's a black background, as you can see in this app, and a black car with a black app. The only thing you can see is the seating, and notice the seating is white, which is true, because they're picking up everything about our car. And I've changed only the color so I can see it in the app. The car is actually black, real black. So you notice the internal temperature of the car says cabin 84 degrees. Because it's nice and cool out today. It's 69. My thermometer right here, which you can't see, it says 69.5. Our studio here says 68.5. I have 3 shirts on as insulation from the chill of the studio. Yep. There's 36% relative humidity outside and 50% relative humidity inside. Our air conditioning system likes 50% humidity. It's best for your breathing and your lungs and all that kind of stuff. If it gets too dry, then you start coughing, because of the dryness of like if you're in Nevada, out west, southwest, and the desert climates, relative humidity is like 10%. So they have actually things that's called a humidifier. I remember my father in his house where we grew up. He had humidifiers upstairs and downstairs, which means the part of the house that was subterranean. We had dehumidifiers, which would take the humidity out of the air because, when you have subterranean layers of housing, they tend to have higher levels of humidity because you're underground, with the basements and that kind of thing. And our whole underground basement was finished off, with high quality finishes. Had a 10-seat bar, full service bar, which I used to act as a bartender when I was like 12 years old, 13, 14, 15, 16. When my parents would have parties at their house, I'd be the bartender. Started at a young age, had to stand on an apple crate to be tall enough to bend over and serve cocktails to my parents' good friends. Anyway, back to the app. So here we see schedule, security, and drivers. See charge stats. Let's touch that. So in the last month, in the last running 31 days, it's not calendar, it's the last 31 days. So it's the 4th of one month to the 3rd of the next month. If you look at the bottom of that chart. Yeah. So it's the last running. So in the last 30 days, 57% of the energy we put in the car was from our home outlet, which we now have, because the good Dr. Brian allowed us to do a swap of parking places. Yeah. and you see the red bars. There's supercharger. 43% of the charging was with superchargers. So you can see it was about November 18th, 17th, November 16th. You see the tall blue line. That's when we started charging in our new parking place. Yeah, it's great. So you can see there were a couple of little charges, and most of them are 50 to 60 kilowatts of energy. So as days proceed in December, when we get up to mid-December, then all our charging would reasonably be coming, from the home charging plug. And it knows the difference between home charging and the superchargers, because the app knows the coordinates because of a GPS that's in the car. So it knows when you're in the home spot, or when you or if you've plugged into any of Tesla's supercharger stations. So when we get to November 16th or 17th, then all the lines should be blue. And so right now, between supercharger costs and the home, which I pegged that at 1 cent per kilowatt. In the so I just you multiply the 1 cent set charging costs. Home charging. Okay, let's continue. Or next. Let's see. So I need. Let's. Well, I'll say more options. Yeah. Custom rate plan. RPP 266. Oh, well, I'm not going to do this now. This apparently is a little too complicated and detailed, and I don't want to make a mistake. Because it goes through and it reprices all of it. But it should be set at 1 cent per kilowatt. Just so if I take the dollar amount, I can multiply it by 100 and come up with the actual kilowatts, whether or not I have this app running. Anyway, so charge stats. This gives you the last 30 days. And I spent $28 and saved $130. Now, as days go on, we charge, we fill up the tank, so to speak. That vocabulary word works whether it's regardless of the fuel type. We have to be using electric energy instead of, a biochemical energy known as isooctane. Anyway, so I figure it's about $175 a month in electric charge that we're, getting the advantage of with this parking place. Because we didn't have to spend the $2,000 for the wiring, of this particular parking place. Yeah. So anyway, there's the car. The temperature is 87 degrees internally. And externally, it's 68 degrees, but it's 87 in the car because apparently the sun is coming through the windows. It was in the shade, and now since it's 9:27 a.m., the sun has risen high enough so that the car is in the sun instead of in the shade. I have, there is in this app, like climate. Let's go to climate. And then we'll go down to this thing here. And you see at the very bottom it says approximate activation temperature. 100 degrees. Using the air conditioner, we make sure the cabin temperature does not go over 100. So in the event, you have things in your luggage, or you went to the grocery store and you don't want everything to wilt, and you put your bags in the trunk or this and that, and while you do some other shopping quickly, the cabin temperature will not exceed 100. You can make it 90, 95, or 100. I've set it for 100 just to save energy. You can change this value anytime in the app. If you knew you didn't want it to go over 90, you could change it. So your groceries or whatever won't cook. Now, that's not to say if you were to leave the car let's say you had a pet, Fido the dog. So if you had Fido in the car and you wanted to run in and get some, into the pharmacy and pick up your prescriptions, there's a setting in this app so that on the screen you say put it in dog mode, and dog mode means that the car will use its air conditioner to keep the temperature of the car, at 75 degrees, period. So you don't have to worry. And the whole that screen, that large screen that's in the car, that's lit up, and it says not to worry. The owner of the car has the temperature control for this pet, so the cabin temperature will not exceed 75 degrees. Like 77 degrees. I think it says 77. And that's good if you're just running into the. A lot of times I put it in dog mode when I have a quick stop at a store, so the cabin temperature stays nice and cool. So when I get in the car, it's not 90 degrees or 100 degrees. Just for, short. There's also camper mode. You would just push a button in the car and say, set the car to camp mode. So what that does is it gets the air conditioning running to whatever level you want. You can use the screen to watch movies or whatever. You recline your seats, and you want to watch a movie while you're reclining the seats, and then you're going to go nighty-night. You pulled off the side of the road and you went into a rest area, a safe resting area. Camp mode sets the car so everything is locked. What do you call it? The Century. You see right in the middle of the screen, Century and drivers. So when you have the car in camp mode, the car is locked, and the climate temperature is set to, in this case, 68 degrees. See in the bottom of the screen, 68. It's presently off. The internal temperature has climbed to 88. External temperature is 68. So, because the exterior temperature is so nice and chill, I mean, you can imagine 68 degrees. not a cloud in the sky. Ooh, this is what Florida is all about. And you go out Saturday morning and play a nice round of golf. I used to do that every Saturday for, a lot of years. And with Walter Ewell. And we played at Boca Country Club with our common friend Dick Pickle, a.k.a. Richard Gherkin. He was a stand-up comedian, and his stage name was Dick Pickle. His real name was Richard Gherkin. Anyway, so I would be, I think Walter or Dick Pickle would have a friend, so it'd be a foursome. You got two in one cart and two in another cart. And because Walter Ewell was a senior person in charge of all the equipment at the Boca Hotel properties, some 2,300 pieces of equipment that he was responsible for making sure were operating at all times. Anyway, he could get away on Saturday morning for a round of golf. We were the first foursome to go off, like at 7:30 in the morning, 7:20, 7:30. And it was pretty cool. And of course, it was no charge because he was a special character. Yeah. He was one of the 4 or 5 senior people that ran the Boca Hotel facility. Anyway, so in my little app here, you can actually talk to the car and get it to do things. You don't have to go around and find menus and all this stuff. There's only a few knobs in the car. Most everything is operated through the touch screen in the middle of the car. Nice 15-inch touchscreen. There we go. Add Jimmy in here. Oh, turn down the lights. It's a little bright in here. Ooh, don't want to get a sunburn. Yeah, got a little control here. I can control the color temperature. Let's see if I can see it. I changed the color temperature. But the camera has automatic temperature control. So even though I got this thing way down in Kelvin, I'm going to bring it up to near normal. Press that little button. And there's, now I'll turn it down a little bit because you don't need as much intensity. There we go. Well, all these finishes, all these surfaces are, not too reflective for your viewing pleasure. Yep. I've changed it up so this computer is the one right in front of so I've got the master computer back here with its keyboard. But once I get Ecamm Live running, I really don't have much to do. This master computer runs everything automatically so that we are broadcasting to all 3 networks simultaneously. That's all handled with the software from Ecamm Live. Yeah, Ecamm Live. I pay a modest fee for Ecamm Live. Yep. I'm looking at the live screen up here, which shows 3 of Trump's appointees, that are undergoing scrutiny with the United States Senate. The appointees that require Senate confirmation, which is quite a number of them. They're saying the balance of power of the House is 214 to 220. So there's a 6-vote margin in favor of the Republicans as far as the number of congressmen that were elected this cycle. But some of these seats are going to be given up. I think 2. So until those seats are replaced, and one of them would be replaced by the governor of New York. So that would change, the balance of power, where the Republicans, expect a one-seat majority, because one's going to flip, because the New York governor is going to put a Democratic person in there instead of a Republican, to fill the seat because of a resignation of a representative. You can't be a House rep and also on the cabinet. If you're in the cabinet, you got to resign from the House or Senate. Marco Rubio, for example, was asked to be the nominee to be the Secretary of State. He would run the State Department. Now, he's a Republican senator. We have a Republican governor in the state of Florida. So the governor would handle the vacancy caused by Rubio if he's confirmed, which he's likely to be confirmed by the Senate. That confirmation has not happened yet. I think that happens, in January, concurrent with the Trump being inaugurated. I think on January 20th, sometime around noon. What do you call it? The Supreme Court Justice, the head of the Supreme Court, is the person that does the swearing in of the president. Yeah. So that's, pretty formal. It's all outlined in the Constitution, which I have a copy of right here. Yeah. Nice little tiny thin. It couldn't be thinner. Yeah, that's pretty thin. I have a piece of tape on it so it keeps it closed. Because when I open it up to read it, then I have this piece of gaffer's tape, actually. Yep. And I just put that right there and put that right there. That holds that in place. If I ever need ready reference, someone calls in and says the United States, whatever, I can actually look it up, maybe. If it's not too hard to do so. Well, I read a bunch of articles this morning that Peter Hegseth has been circulating around in the Senate. And after these sessions, Peter is held in good light with some of the, because some senators don't know him well. And they get to know him and they say, yeah, rah, he's good. Put him in. And he's had the liberals have been after him, So the liberals are, angry that Trump got elected. So they're taking it out on his appointments. So any dirt, anything they can sling to upset the confirmation process, they're doing it. So that's what's going on, if you're wondering what's going on. So instead of complaining about Trump, they're complaining about any number of his appointees. They'll have a good word about everybody. All right, it seems like I'm looking at my delivered Saturday. So I've received everything from Amazon that I'm scheduled to receive. The turkey Thanksgiving day has passed, and all the, Amazon is a amazing, system of doing your shopping without you having to go out and get stuff. And, to cut down on exposure to germs, bugs. When you get to be 117, you want to make sure you don't get out in the climate any more than you have to. Yep. So I have to send Marilyn a text saying, go ahead and get our passports renewed. There we go. Marilyn, please prepare 2 $160 checks. I'm going to copy that message, put it here, paste it, and put up here reminder, REMINDER, and press go. There we go. It's like magic. Just send the message right there. You saw it live in color. Just told Mel, don't forget to prepare. So, I spent, a few hours preparing these passport applications. They actually go to the State Department. There's a special place in, there it is, Irving, Texas. Yeah, 75064. The National Passport Processing Center. That is where we sent it. So I printed that label and stuck it on an envelope, which I have right up here. This is there you go. You see that? Whoops. I don't want this. There we go. As you can see. And everything is in here except the checks. Everything is signed, dated. We got photos, current photos. You return your old passport. They're getting renewed. So it's easier than if you get a new passport because you've already verified, your citizenship and your birth certificate and all this stuff. And so when you renew, they already have that stuff on file. They look up your passport number. They see if any of our agencies, have you been indicted for, are you facing criminal charges where your passport may have to be surrendered or any restrictive anything, which of course we don't have any of that. So we pay it's $130. The extra $30 is the passport card, which is the same size, exact same size as a credit card or your driver's license. But it's a passport card. So you can use it as a government photo ID, so anything that requires a government photo ID, like voting, or any other, passage on any airplane, domestic air flights, you can use a passport card, or you can use your driver's license. Passport card is, super duper credential for who you are. And they look at the photo and they look at you and they look at the photo and they look at you. When you're standing there trying to get to your flight on time, right? A lot of people, forge driver's licenses with all kinds of nefarious activities when they have to fly, if they are nefarious people. But I'm just saying, if you go through the TSA, the passport card is super official because it's coming from the U.S. government, and the TSA is U.S. government. So they like to see that one. everyone else would throw up their driver's license, because you have to have a photo ID to pass through security to get on the airplane. Yeah. You don't need a photo ID necessarily to vote in some of these liberal states, but boy, you need a photo ID to get on an airplane. Oops. Marilyn's iPad was ringing like a telephone. It's amazing. It didn't. This microphone is a super chorioid microphone, which means the sound that comes from behind is muted, as opposed to sound that comes in front. Because I have this microphone, right in front of my face. Yeah. And yeah. Let's see, what else do I notice? Trying to notice things in the news. Here's the latest thing. I'm not too sure what that headline means, so I'm not even going to go there. Let's see what's going on here. Star-studded stroll. Apparently there's some celebrities that are just mixing in the crowd without having to expose themselves. Yeah. Because there's some filming going on in Boston, and they caught footage of some people just strolling around, going from one place to another. They're all dressed, they're all decked out in their winter cold clothing. And of course, since I don't know anything about who might be, the eye poppers in this scene, I don't know what they look like. There's something I know what it looks like. This is remnants of the Keystone Pipeline. Those are big pipes. The pipes are, 4 feet tall. You can see the gentleman in the background there. If you would walk closer to the pipes, they would come up to somewhere over his knee and up to his waist, somewhere in that range. So let's say 30-inch pipe. And that all connects together, from the western piece of the Canadian oil business would then be able to pipe crude all the way down to the Louisiana area where the refineries are. We're going to have to expand some of these refineries. We need to get the Keystone Pipeline running, because it's a lot safer to pump this crude oil through a big pipeline than it would be filling up tanker cars and having them going through the middle of all our cities. Well, it drives from Canada, that 1,600-mile drive south. Pump it through there's very little leakage and all that in a pipeline. We have, listen to this, we have 25,000 miles of subterranean pipes running all over the place. East and west, north to south, if you look at it, it looks like a lattice that, this pipeline is running everywhere. Because it's more economical to pipe certain, these hydrocarbons, which would be the general classification of things that have to do with petroleum, oil, diesel, isooctane, gasoline. Pipelines are a very efficient way of moving these kind of or gas, natural gas. Huge supply of pipelines supplying natural gas all over the Northeast. They use, gas to, power their water heaters and the air conditioning systems. So, in the winter, the gas is consumed to keep the homes warm and toasty, so you don't freeze. When the cold weather comes. In the times like this, when it's 68 degrees outside, open the window and get nice fresh air. But otherwise, you close the windows and turn on the heat until sometime in March. Then you can, because, of course, when you're used to the cold weather, I know we used to open the windows when it was 55 degrees outside, and you had this marvelous 55-degree air that would come through a window that you have cracked upstairs, and the whole house it's like natural air conditioning with fresh air, 50 degrees. When it gets down to 30, you may crack the window an inch or two. When it's 55, you might outside, you might open up that window a little bit bigger to let in all that nice, fresh, chilling air. I can feel it now. Yeah, anyway, here's Keystone Pipeline. You can see the pipes. They're laying out there. So there's a lot of this material laying around. Some of it has disappeared, so you'd have to re-buy it and get the crews back out there, they have these trench digging machines, and there's certain things that go, at the bottom, underneath the pipes, to stabilize them there's a welding process that's used to connect these pipes. And there's stress release in certain areas so that with expansion and contraction, the pipes aren't compromised in some physical way as far as leaking and so forth. So that's where you see those things where it comes up and it goes over like this and it goes back down. That's done for expansion and contraction of the pipelines themselves. So that provides a little, breathing room, if you will, if the pipe requires. Because when it expands, the length of the pipe increases, marginally. Maybe a couple of millimeters. But when you've got, 50 miles of pipe, you need one of those expansion joints just to keep the physical pressure down so you don't end up with the pipes cracking because of expansion. So that's why you see the pipe goes, X number of miles, and then it comes up. This big pipe goes up out of the ground, goes over like this, and then comes up, and then goes back down. A big upside down U. And that is to accommodate expansion and contraction. Yeah. How do you like that? I bet you learned something new there. Yeah. Well, I was a chemistry guy, engineering type. That notice a few things like that. Let's see. WHAG, what's up? Marilyn just called me, and since I'm busy with you all, I didn't want to take that call, so I just sent busy, what's up? send her a text message so she'd text me back with whatever is on her mind. It probably has to do with the bank checks she's preparing for us so that I can submit this package for, our passports. The hopeful view in the future where we'll go on a trip somewhere, like on a cruise or something. I love cruises. We get yeah. So all right. Well, I think I'm gonna hang it up here, and I'm gonna wish you a very happy Tuesday. To start your day. We have people up in Milwaukee listening in here, or Wisconsin, I should say. And it's a little nippy up there, I understand. I'm looking at North Carolina, and it's up in the mountains. It's 18 degrees Fahrenheit. And with all the destruction that they had there, some of those people are devastated with 18-degree temperatures. Oh my God, they got to be somewhere else. You can't be in a tent. It's one thing to be in a tent when you're on a special expedition, but if you have to stay there for months on end, no, not in the winter. No, not if you want to survive. All right, well, listen, you all have a good day. I'll put the music up for about 30 seconds, full blast, so to speak, and I'll stop talking. And tomorrow I'll have a whole new bunch of topics to talk about in any event. See you tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
It's 10 o'clock.